Welcome back to CentralCoastRadio.com. Well, Pixar's brand new feature film Elemental is out in cinemas right now, and after a little bit of a lull in Pixar movies over the past few years, this one really sees Pixar bounce back with a really, really good film. It's directed by Peter Son, of course, who did The Good Dinosaur a few years ago and is a voice actor himself. In fact, he's in the latest Spider-Man Across the Universe film. Now, this film, Elemental, tells the story of Ember, voiced by Leah Lewis, and Wade, voiced by Mamadou Athie. Now, Ember is a fire, so I should set up this world a little bit. In the world of Elemental, there are different elements make up the characters. So there are fires, there are waters, there are clouds, there are trees. So there's a whole variety of different elementals as these characters. Ember is a fire, which means that pretty much nobody wants to be around her. The fire people aren't really allowed to live in Elemental City. They have to have their own little ghetto outside of the city because there's a fear around them that if they brush against one of the trees, the tree will catch fire and die. If they get too close to water, it is believed that the water character will vaporize and die. So they're kind of seen as outcasts. Now, Ember's dad, Bernie, voiced by Ronnie Del Carmen, he left Fireland years and years ago and came to Elemental City to start a new life. But he found himself pushed out into this ghetto, but he's created a successful business. He basically found an old building that was a ruin, and he's done it up and made it into a store that is called The Fireplace. Him and his wife, Cinda, voiced by Shayla Omi, have run this business that means so much to the community. Now, one of the things that Bernie is so proud of is that one day he's going to be able to pass this business on to Ember. But the problem there is Ember can't control her temper. She reaches absolute boiling point and literally explodes when that happens. And the result of that can be quite catastrophic for the people and things that are around her. Now, one day, Bernie allows her to run the store to see how she would go running the store. Within moments of doing that, she explodes after a customer pushes her temper. And the result is that it causes damage to the piping in the building, and the building starts to flood off and on, which is not great for fires because suddenly he finds his customers having water falling on them and then having to basically bring them back to life. Now, rather than own the error, Ember decides to allow that blame to be put on Wade, a water who accidentally gets sucked into their store when the pipes start leaking. Now, Wade likes Ember from the start, and she kind of likes him, but she doesn't want to admit it because she knows that a water and a fire can never be together. Now, Wade, trying to do the right thing, reports Bernie's store for all of the breaches that it has. He then instantly regrets it when he finds out how much the store means to Ember and her family, and he does all he can to try and stop his boss, Gail, voiced by Wendy McClendon-Covey, from closing the store. But at the same time, Ember's original explosion has caused a whole lot of damage to the store, and it looks like the whole store might eventually collapse. Now, this is a pretty interesting film because of the topics that it touches on. You might have heard before, I mentioned that the country that the fires come from is called Fireland. Now, it is based kind of on Ireland, but this is the interesting part of this film because not only does the director, Peter Son, and the team of writers make this a story about Irish settlers coming into America, they managed to incorporate it in such a way that this could be a story about Asian immigrants, it could be a story about Indian immigrants, Italian immigrants. It all blends in, and they do that amazingly well by kind of having a language that's made up for the fires. They're not talking with an Irish accent or anything like that. There is a real mix there. So at different times when you're watching this film, you start to think about immigrants in your own city, refugees coming in from different backgrounds, and the way that they're perceived. I think what makes that theme work so well in Elemental is it's not a theme that is shoved in your face or preached about. This is literally just the story of a family trying to make a go of things, but you see what happens to them. For example, there's a really touching scene where Bernie tries to take Ember as a child to go and see this very rare flower that's flowering in Elemental City. She's so excited, she wants to see this flower, but when they get there, there's a sign on the door that says no fires can come in because of the fact that they're frightened that they might accidentally set fire to everything. I should point out that that is very rare that actually happens. So it's this fear that people in Elemental City have about the fires that's completely unfounded. In fact, there's probably more dangers to the fires themselves in Elemental City than what there is the other way around. The other major storyline that you see in Elemental is that Ember doesn't want to run her father's store. He has this dream that his daughter's going to take over his store and run it when he retires, but that's not her dream. When she was a little girl, it was something that she was fascinated by, but now she's grown up and is a teenager, it's not what she wants anymore. She's actually very artistic. She's learnt that if she can use water and sand with the heat that she generates as a fire, she can make some beautiful glass sculptures, and that's what she wants to do with her life. She also wants a relationship with Wade, but of course, Bernie, even though he likes to think that he doesn't view people the way that people view him as a fire, he is very prejudiced against waters, and there is no way he's going to let a water date his daughter. Now, I think the other thing about this film that works so well is it's very, very simple. It's not overcomplicated. It's a simple story that gets its point across. It looks beautiful. It looks amazing. It goes back to that old Pixar style where art means so much to the filmmakers. But the simplicity of the story means that it's a story that can be enjoyed by all generations. This is a film that you can take your children to, and they'll learn about prejudices and how that can damage families and damage the people around them. But it's so simple that kids can love it, adults can love it, and even grandparents can love it. So it is a really, really good Pixar film. I know I've been critical in the past over Pixar and the way that they've presented these kind of over-politicalized movies. But this time around, I think they've got the right element there. I know it's a really stupid cliche to use when you're talking about a film called Elemental, but all the elements of this film are there. It's a simple story. It gets its point across. It looks nice. It works. It's not a long film either. Some of the films I think that Pixar have made recently have been too long for children. Elemental goes back to that kind of hour and a half kind of runtime, and it just works really, really well. So if you're looking for a film to take the whole family to, Elemental, I think, is a really, really good film that could be a good film for an outing for the entire family. It's one of Pixar's best films in quite a while, and it's on a general release, so check your local cinema guide, but I think go along and check out Elemental. You definitely won't be disappointed. I'm going to give this one 4 out of 5. You're on centralcoastradio.com.